What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to ICNV Driversedition. And today, you saw the thumbnail. I was trying to avoid this conversation until the numbers came out, but it's been inspired by so many comments from previous videos about all the information that's coming out. After attending a car show this weekend and meeting a guy with a C5 Corvette, and he commented on my most recent video, we got into a conversation about why realistically it just won't be the car that everyone believes or trying to make it out to be. And what I quickly learned is, even from innocent bystanders, or should I say people surrounding and joining into the conversation, many people don't really understand how it works. So let's talk about why the Grand Sport X isn't going to be the Z06 killer that you all believe. Let's talk about it. If this is your first time tuning into the channel, my name is Sho. This is ICNV Driversedition. This is a channel based off car enthusiasts that love to drive cars that aren't your everyday people movers. We're also an interactive community, which means if you hit me up in the comments below or on any one of my social media platforms, I'll do my best to respond. And if the topic you bring up is interesting enough, just like this one, I'll probably shoot a video on it. So I'm going to take a step back for a second because we're going to come back to the Grand Sport X. But what I want you to understand is when you look at the numbers, there's a reason why GM's listed the E-Ray at 655 combined horsepower with 595 combined pound-feet of torque. But when you actually go more into it, once the car is moving, you lose the instant torque advantage you get from the all-wheel drive capabilities pulling off. And once you cross 100 miles an hour, the extra horsepower assistance from the electric motor fades away. So once you cross 100 miles an hour, the E-Ray no longer has 655 horsepower. And this conversation has come up so many times before, and it's been documented performance since the car has been out for quite some time. Somewhere around the 120 mile per hour range, you've already lost 80 to 85% of the extra horsepower boost of the electric motors, and it's dwindling down fast. I get it. I know what you're thinking. You're saying, how is that possible if GM says the E-Ray can have electric hybrid assist all the way up to 150 miles per hour? Well, that's just it. You can have the electric hybrid assist up to 150 miles per hour, but it depends on how you're actually using that power. So what does that mean? There are many videos out there. There are many articles out there. The E-Ray has been reviewed by many major companies, or should I say, people that review cars. Let's clear some things up. In my earlier videos talking about the E-Ray performance and why I really didn't like the car, what I sat there and said, and what has now transpired into something else, which is partially my speaking and just to make stuff simplistic, is that when you're driving the E-Ray, you can feel the power starts to decline from the electric hybrid assist once you cross 100 miles per hour. They say you can really feel the drop off as if there's no power left right before you pass the quarter mile. Now, how is this actually documented? Inside the E-Ray, you can set up the screen so you can monitor the actual horsepower or power assist from the batteries, and also how much charge you have left in the batteries. And as that charge goes down, the power delivery goes down. And also another factor is, as you cross 100 miles per hour, they also sit there and say the gas engine starts to overpower the electric motors. So you have three factors going against you. Now, it has been documented by several reviews of the E-Ray and performance in the quarter mile that pretty much all of the battery is pretty much depleted in the quarter mile run. So when you say, how is it possible? What it actually is once you come out the quarter mile run, the depletion of the battery is pretty much almost zero. And that's why many people don't talk about the E-Ray past the quarter mile. and why the Z06 starts to shine. What they also say about the E-Ray after the quarter mile is it takes, in a quick hard regeneration, you can push a button where it does maximum recharge for the battery, but that maximum recharge also goes against the performance output you're putting in, meaning it's heavier engine regeneration and it's done off the braking of the car. So you can't really maintain speed increase if you're doing max regen, just so you understand that. And at the same time, what we also learned from all these performance reviews is that it takes about a quarter mile to recharge the battery to 100% complete. So if you want to be fully transparent about this, or let's just say, if you want to make it make sense, the hybrid platform, the hybrid engine, if you deplete it in a quarter mile performance run, there will be no more battery assistance to even get to 150 miles per hour, let alone anything pretty much exceeding a quarter mile run. And the problem with this is the Grand Sport X is built off a similar platform. But what we also learned about the Grand Sport X is because the Grand Sport X hybrid system is now derived from the ZR1X, you now get 186 extra horsepower and you get a boost up to 655 pound-feet of torque. So the Grand Sport X does deliver power slightly different than its predecessor, the E-Ray. And it also delivers the hybrid functions up to 160 miles per hour. But just like the E-Ray, the Grand Sport X, which we are still waiting on the data to confirm it, is expected to fall off its power usage somewhere within a half-mile run. And because of that, you end up with a similar situation as the E-Ray when compared to the Z06, whereas the longer the performance is required, the Z06 is still pulling and the battery depletion is gone, which now drops it down to pretty much a heavier car with the base model engine. So that's the factor I think many people miss out on. And I say that because people hear the high numbers, 655. People hear the 721. So they believe the 721 horsepower that you're receiving from the car is actually going to be delivered all the way through until the electric motor stops participating. So with the new advancement in the hybrid system being placed into the Grand Sport X, the misconception by a lot of people, because they keep wanting to tell me that 721 horsepower is more than the 670 horsepower output being put out by the Z06. But as we've already seen and heard, that about 80% of that horsepower should be gone by the time you cross 130 miles an hour. It's no longer a 600 horsepower vehicle. The Z06 at 130 miles per hour is still delivering all 670 horsepower. The Z06 at 130 miles per hour is still giving you the torque that it's supposed to build. Whereas the Grand Sport X will be under 600 horsepower and that combined torque will not be the same delivery. So yes, you will have the initial takeoff. You will have a nice performance burst under 60, under 100 miles per hour. But if you're going to look at the car's performance overall, the Z06 will start to show its dominance again once you get into higher performance with demand. And I think I need you guys to understand that. So the best way I can sit there and say this to you is this. I've made many comments where I've actually stated that engineers have said that the C8 Z06 is the better performing vehicle. Well, there's videos out there. I can't document and go back to each one, but I can show you a couple clips where different engineers express the same information.
Your question, right? How does this, I'll use the word compete with the Z06. In my mind, it's really, the Z06 is incredible. It's the car we derived the race car from. It's very visceral. The 5.5 Gemini engine is incredible, super distinctive sound. It's a fantastic car. So it's not strictly a spreadsheet exercise. This isn't just a, oh, look at the specs. Oh, The Grand Sport X makes 721 horsepower, and that's more than the 670 in a Z06. So I must want to buy that one. It must be better. The Grand Sport X, it'll offer our customers a pretty significant value. It's going to be easier on consumables. It's not quite as fast. Brakes are going to last longer. The tires are going to last longer than a Z06. You don't want to come out with the car that looks a lot like a Z06 first and then try and explain to people why a Z06 is better. So that's why we wait until a little later in the life cycle. You love the Z06. It's a brute. It's really brutally fast on the straightaways. This car is a lot more approachable from how fast you go on track. It's still crazy fast, and there is going to be, I expect, some overlap depending on where you take the car, but it's a different experience. The Grand Sport X is a fantastic car. It's a heavier car. It gets speed a little different way with the all-wheel drive. So I think we are filling in the offerings that are logical for folks, and doing Grand Sport now takes nothing away from Z06 and how special it is and that visceral connection with the car. It really just adds options for folks that want to fill in, exactly what they want for their budget. The Z06, it is at a price point that is not attainable by everybody.
Take a step back and look at it this way. The C7 Z06 does not outperform the C8 Z06. The C7 Z06 has 650 horsepower with 650 pound-feet of torque. So even though the C7 Z06 may initially get the jump on the C8 Z06, the C8 Z06, once it starts moving, initially reels it back in and shows its dominance over the car. I think that's important for people to understand, because if the C7 Z06, which maintains more horsepower and more torque throughout the entire competition range, how do you believe that a Grand Sport or a Grand Sport X can perform better or actually be a superior performance car compared to the C8 Z06 when it's something the Z06 in the C7 version can't do, and it has more long-term demand on torque and horsepower? I think this is the problem and where our conversation ended up when we were out at this car show. Most people don't understand the difference between horsepower and torque. Horsepower is how fast the engine can go. It will help you reach the higher speeds. Torque is what helps you get moving. It's that hard lunge feeling people get at the starting line instantly from the E-Ray. Whereas the horsepower, it gives the car the higher top speed. It allows the car to keep accelerating faster and faster and faster while it's already moving down the highway. So if you have a higher horsepower, the car will accelerate faster even if it has less torque. And that's where I think people lose the understanding between the two. So yes, while the combined horsepower of 721 horses is in play, the Grand Sport X will accelerate faster, but the Grand Sport X, just like the E-Ray, starts to lose horsepower at a high rate once it crosses 100 miles per hour. People now believe that the performance is changed. I'm really waiting for the numbers to come out so we can solidify how it actually plays out, because my belief and what I've heard, and the problem with what you hear is you're now taking the information provided, and because no one is directly giving you the correct answer you're looking for, you're now taking the information that you hear and you're trying to interpret it as the best way that you possibly can. So there is a belief by some that even when you cross 100 miles per hour, just like the C8 E-Ray, the Grand Sport X will start to lose its horsepower. They predict that the new hybrid system of the ZR1X just has found a way to deliver, or shall I say make you lose, the performance over a longer span, while other people believe that the Grand Sport X horsepower performance has now pushed the bar, meaning that whereas once the E-Ray would start losing power at 100 miles an hour, the Grand Sport X would now start losing horsepower around 120 miles an hour or 115 miles an hour. So the difference between the two is when it starts losing horsepower and how fast it's doing it. Because of the extra horsepower added to the hybrid system, the Grand Sport X motors loses horsepower a tad bit slower than the E-Ray because it has more power to lose. But at the end of the day, what you start to realize is it's a shift in 8 to maybe 12 horsepower, where the E-Ray and the Grand Sport X compared to the Z06 still become cars that's pushing out less than 600 horsepower compared to a car that's still pushing out 670 horsepower. And that's the difference. So yes, you can sit there and say the Grand Sport X is faster in all the low-end performance numbers that many people would like to focus on. But at the end of the day, when you understand how the hybrid platform works and that the hybrid performance does not last all the way through until the horsepower or until the car loses that edge, you're losing horsepower, you're losing torque. The car is dropping down to a less performing vehicle. And even when that comes to the Grand Sport, I want people to understand that 520 pound-feet of torque will get you to jump the line quicker. I don't believe the Grand Sport will be better than the Z06 at any performance aspects, regardless of how you look at it. So at the end of the day, if you understand how the hybrid system works, you should now understand that although the Grand Sport X will be an amazing car, just because of how it's built and how the hybrid system works, it cannot be a better performance car than the C8 Z06. And when you're already rolling, the torque factor that many people like to believe or hold on to, it just isn't big enough to be a huge factor in accelerating. So maybe this will clear up some information. Maybe this will help people kind of understand where we're going. But again, this was just because a conversation came up at a car show I was at this past weekend. And the guy said, I do apologize for not remembering your name, but the question was asked, with all the comments going on my most recent video, why do I maintain my stance that the Z06 will still be better? I want you guys to understand, I don't have a C8 Z06, I don't have a C8 E-Ray, and I don't have a C8 Grand Sport. But the truth of the matter is, if I'm going to come back to the Corvette community, it will probably be one of those cars I purchase. So just like every other person out here, I'm doing my research and my homework so I can make the best decision for me. But either way, I'll be happy owning either one of those cars, because at the end of the day, regardless of which car we're talking about, the E-Ray, the Grand Sport, the Z06, or the Grand Sport X, they're all amazing cars, and they all have a specific thing they were built to do, and they do it the best. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you now have a better understanding of how horsepower and torque works? And do you now understand how the Corvette hybrid platform works and why the C8 E-Ray and the C8 Grand Sport X just aren't able to sustain long-term performance to beat or be better than the C8 Z06 as a performance car? Let me know in the comments below. ICNV Driver Edition. Go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, join the ICNV Driver Edition community. Like I stated before, we're an interactive community, which means if you hit me up on any one of my social media platforms or in the comments below, I'll do my best to respond. And if the topic you bring up is interesting enough, I may even shoot a video on it. Don't forget, we were all made in his image and given dominion over the world, which means we weren't just meant to be. So chase your dreams, build your visions, and never ever give up. What is a world without hope? We were all given unique abilities to become the best versions of us that we can possibly be. So step into your calling and become the blessing to the world that you were meant to be. Remember, you can be the one and not the one at the same time, because it's okay to be unique. Just remember to stay humble, stay focused, and stay blessed. And I'll see you in these streets. Peace.